Hi y'all, it's Pig. It's been forever since I've uploaded on this channel, but I'll be making a follow-up video going more into depth on where I've been and why I'm coming back to this channel. But let's get into this. Alrighty, so the title. The problem of zombies is not what you think. It's not the gameplay, it's not the map design. The main issue is the story. Before, the zombie story was disconnected. Now, it's not. What do I mean by this? Well, if you played Cold War, which I did for way more hours than necessarily I wanted to, but I wanted Dark Aether, the storyline was linked directly with the Modern Warfare and Black Ops campaigns. There was connections of the big one was characters where we had Weaver, Kravchenko, all these characters from the campaign move over, which would have been fine if it was separate, but following in Vanguard built off of the Dark Aether, and the Dark Aether storyline itself would have been okay because following what Vanguard and Cold War tried to do, it was technically still a separate storyline. Like, yes, it used characters, but it was separate. Therefore, they could go off and do more fantastical ideas. But with the release of Modern Warfare Zombies, there was a drastic change of now we have Zakhaev, all these Modern Warfare characters that we saw in the campaign, and it tied it even more so into the storyline, which leads to the problem and the result of everything we're at today. So, let's discuss everything about that and kind of what it leads and the problem with having this, like I say, one big interconnected storyline between all the recent Call of Duty games. Alrighty, so let's get into it. Now, I'm going to start with a recap of the original Aether storyline. Will everything be correct? No. But it's just a small little recap for anyone who's unfamiliar. Aether's story followed our three crews across the entire of it, starting with the Ultimus crew of Nikolai, Dempsey, Takeo, and Richtofen. The Ultimus crew was our main group of characters in latter half World at War and Black Ops 1. Then, after the events of Moon, where Richtofen blew up the Earth, leaving it destroyed, we had Black Ops 2, which was a direct sequel to that storyline, even with following the Victus crew, where the side map mode happened at the exact same time as Moon. Then we have the Victus story take place with Transit, Die Rise, and Buried. And this shows Victus canonically siding with Maxis to give him control of the Dark Aether. Of the Aether. And then we get into Origins, our first view of the Primus crew, their new version. I'm not going to go fully into the lore of anything, but because I'll be honest, I don't fully even understand half of it and who and why things happen. But then we got Primus, which in Black Ops 3 was our main crew. As we went through all of Black Ops 3, every single character, we collected their souls to then go into Revelations, where we had whole map showing everything, the Elgarther being torn apart, and we have to try and stitch it back together throughout the Easter egg. I mention all this because the storyline was disconnected. It allowed us to go to all these different locations. We had Alcatraz, which was a complete offshoot map where we went to a looped version of Alcatraz that was set in hell, the cycle going through. We had, again, Moon, where, again, Black Ops 1, most of the maps that we had were guess to say, fairly realistic is what you would say. Like, you could see a zombie apocalypse happen. Oh, taking a hold in a theater, taking hold on like a rocket launch station, being out in the wilderness jungle on Shangri-La. And then we had a moon, which was a total shift change with teleportation and being on a base on the moon. And the story got a bit more wacky, had a bit more fun, and it ended with us blowing up the Earth, which then had, instead of resetting or just saying at the end, they continued the story there. And now we got to play as a group of survivors now living and trying to survive on this destroyed Earth caused by Richtofen. With, even though I hate it, not, well, I don't even hate transit, honestly. It's still fun with friends, but having the destruction and the lava of the cracked Earth of transit, then going to the toppled over and folded die rise, and then lastly going to an underground town with Buried. It played more like the post-apocalyptic side of zombies. And then we had, I would say, a tonal reset with Origins of it just being set in the World War II trenches. Except there was still this fantasy element of these giant hulking mechs walking through the map as a, again, kind of nod to the wackiness. And then we hit Black Ops 3, which was just, let's try everything. We had a sort of 1920s Cthulhu gang, Mafia City. Then we had Der Eisendrache. We had a remake of Der Riese of the Giant, but that was, again, just a remake. Then we went into, I believe it was Zetsubo. Yeah, Der Eisendrache, Zetsubo, Gorod Krogan Revelation. Which, again, Zetsubo was kind of just more like an advanced Shangri-La, just being set out in the jungle, but you had like a giant spider boss fight. And then we had Gorod Krovi, which is Dungeons and Dragons. But it still had this wackiness and wildness. Then there's Revelation, which was a mashup of most of the maps from all the previous games. No, I've kind of left out Black Ops 4 because Black Ops 4, I just don't really know where to put it, honestly. Time of it. Yes, we had Chaos, but it was its own storyline, and everything in it was more about mythology, which was fun. I love Black Ops 4. Was the first zombies game I got the season pass for. I later went back and got it for Black Ops 3, modded 2 and 1 on PC, but the first game I ever played where I had all the DLC maps, and I did get Black Ops 4 after it full launch, right around 2019 came out, because I was never a Modern Warfare fan, was Black Ops 4. And I had a blast with that game. Every part of it, especially Chaos, was such a tonal shift, but I loved it. Fighting in the Roman Colosseum against waves of the undead, fighting on the Titanic with Voyage of Despair was disorientating at times, but it was still fun. And then we had a remake of, again, Mob of the Dead is one of my favorite maps of all time. So having a remake with Blood, the story, is it as good? It is debatable because it does play more into the role of the full-blown storyline. But for me, just the story of the gangster and the cycle repeating until it's finally broken, I do prefer that storyline. But I won't deny it and say when I first saw that Blood of the Dead cutscene, I was in tears seeing Richtofen sacrifice himself and everything. Like, it is one of the best ending cutscenes I do think we've ever gotten in a zombies map. And then we had Classified, which 5 is my other most favorite map. So seeing both those get remake was great, but there was no Easter egg. It was just survive for as long as you can. But even that, just the simplest Easter egg. of get to, like, was it 150 or 115? I can't remember off the top of my head. But again, still, like, everything had theming. And then we got, again, and even after that, zombies. We had Infinite Warfare, which I didn't play all that much, but my brother did, along with his friends. But even just seeing him play the map and everything having such a unique theme of zombies in Spaceland with an amusement park, Raven the Redwoods. Like, I wasn't the biggest fan of it. I went back, and at least base gameplay wise, it felt nice, and I kept playing it. And even now, I'll sometimes hop on it just for fun. But everything that it had was the setting, the story, made all of that possible. The whole reason why we had the wackiness of everything being able to be completely different in Infinite Warfare was because the storyline was the characters were trapped in movies, so we were playing through each of the different movies. And then we came to my opinion, Cold War, where after in Tag der Toten, the Aether was cast to the Dark Aether, and only Eddie and Samantha were left. We were left at a bit of a standstill. We didn't know what was going to come about this. And then we got Black Ops Cold War. And we saw the first peek of the new adult Samantha. We saw her talk to Weaver and the cutscene. And it did set up something that felt like could have been more of, like, oh, the German scientist. Die Machine is, again, not a bad map, but it's pretty fun. But the theming of it just being like, oh, it's a Polish encampment, obviously not during Toten, but it was moved to be in Poland, and then having this giant underground facility, it did have some uniqueness that was nice. But then we went to Firebase Z, and I only honestly really noticed this because about 2 weeks ago from time of recording, I recently went back and replayed the Cold War campaign to get ready for Black Ops 6, because I will say I've already pre-ordered the game, and I am still excited for Black Ops 6. But everything for that, every single DLC map was just reused campaign assets in some parts. Firebase Z, the starting room was just a reused part from the Vietnam mission in Cold War's campaign. Now the secondary part, I think that was all unique to it, with the defending the base and everything. But the place where pack punches in the starting area, all complete reused assets. Again, when we got Outbreak, was just reused maps from Dirty Bomb, which was supposed to be the new Warzone map, but that got changed. And then we got Mauer. Yeah, it went Mauer Duranto. Which was, again, it was a fun map, but it was just ripped straight out of campaign. But they did do a lot of changes at the very least to make it feel more zombies-esque. And then same with Forsaken, it was, here are some locations from this campaign mission, but instead of you having to go through back doors, they're tied together with portals. So, again, this is talking about the main theming. And I just want to give this like a brief overview so you understand where in this next part I am going with all of this. Because with now understanding that, like, again, the base story of Cold War is this: Samantha finds this, I believe it's like this picture of, I can't remember the name of the character, that's what, God, it's bad, it's kind of just forgettable, but who ends up being revealed to become the Forsaken back in World War. I think it was World War II. Yeah, World War II. Becomes the Forsaken. He was put in there. It was later revealed in Vanguard that he was put into the test chamber, sucked into the Dark Aether, and then he proceeded to, I guess, I don't know how everyone puts as consume the original Aether gods that were used as the field upgrades in Vanguard, and that's how he became so powerful as the Forsaken. And the entire thing that we end up capturing the Forsaken in the end, everyone is put in prison and Samantha is lost in the aether. That's where everything ends. And that's the base storyline that we have. But how they've connected everything else leads to the actual problem with COD Zombies at the moment. Alrighty, so time finally to get to the main point of this video. The problem with current zombies. I gave everything before because I want to give an overview of the storyline and why everything is a problem. So, I'm not doing this whole thing to throw shade at Liberty Falls. From everything I saw, we don't know everything about the map. What we were shown had Easter eggs turned off. So I'm not going to give my full opinion on everything until the game actually comes out in, exactly 1 month from the recording of this video. But I will say from what we were shown and how the storyline has set it up, the problem with zombies is the timing. Now, what do I mean by that? Yes, there are other issues. Some people are like, oh, armor, it's too easy at the start. That's more the gameplay, sort of, like, around, but UI, like, all that stuff is changeable, especially now that we have completely movable, and you can turn off HUD completely if you want. So, what I, personally, have found the problem to be, yes, everything else has issues, but it's the timing of Cold War and Black Ops 6. How the universe has set the rules. As they say in the security industry, the rules of engagement, or anything for how everything goes with Cold War and zombies, the storyline and how everything works. Even with Modern Warfare Zombies, the storyline was that Zakhaev dropped one of the canisters. I don't remember the full storyline, didn't pay attention to it, but dropped canister, and it created, which was shown in, we already understood how it worked because of Cold War with this bigger map, that the outbreaks were set to a certain zone. So the entire thing is just about containing the zone in Urzikstan, clearing out the zombies until we can follow through the storyline, and most recently just wrapped up, defeat the entity, and then the zone starts to fall apart. And then everything goes back to normal, as if the zombies never happened. Even talked about by Miller in the Modern Warfare Zombie storyline, because they were one of they talk about their experience as a kid living in Liberty Falls and then having the outbreak happen there, on being rushed out, but then eventually being I think eventually able to go back. But we see Liberty Falls looks perfectly normal, and there is nothing public, no information publicly. It's all classified of the outbreak that happened there. And that right there is the problem with zombies right now. The fact that the entire storyline and everything that we can do is supposed to be this super secret hidden event. That is the problem. With the original games, there was no restriction. It was, as far as we understood, the world itself had been overrun by zombies, and it was just people surviving in it. And so I knew Samantha controlled the zombies. She was making them attack scientists, go after our team, until we got to Moon, where places were then switched, and then we blew up the Earth, and then we had to see what people on that blown up Earth then survived as and had to do, until finally we give Max control, and then everything is sort of reset, and then we're shown Primus, which is a new telling of the story. But even then, with Primus, it was shown from the start zombies had overrun stuff, and everything was shown as everything unit had zombies overrunning them. There was no like, oh, we have to keep this secret because people find out. Especially with the dates shown, if I remember correctly, Liberty Falls happens in February, but then Rewind, one of the maps we play in the beta, happens in June of the same year. And even though Rewind is not accessible on Liberty Falls, they do take place in the same town. So seeing that, what is there to really have be this big experience? Yes, Terminus has more leeway with being this more thematic map because it's out in the middle of nowhere. But even then, all Terminus is a jail in the on an island in the Philippines that has a laboratory underneath. Like, it's very simple. Like, yes, you can have a bunch of designs of stuff and all these mutations and this tentacle monster out in the water, but it's very simple. It's set in reality, to put it simply. It's able to be easily connected as part of the total storyline. And with having Liberty Falls, the story is that we are there, I believe it's hours to only a few days after the outbreak. So we are there right at the start. Now, if Liberty Falls was set more for in line of how Kino and a bunch of the other maps were, where let's say we are there a few months to even a year after the initial attack, this town can be more run down. Liberty Falls could be a lot better, even if during the day of just having more destruction. The town still feels very pristine. There's not very much to, if I'm being honest, any destruction. Like, there are a few things that are broken, but because it's so recent, you see like empty cars around, but they're not like destroyed, they're just empty, they're sat on the side. Few of them are, a few walls are destroyed, but a bunch of walls and windows aren't. So it leaves it feeling not like zombies, because if we're being on theme wise, it's not like original zombie. The original storyline had us going into areas where it looked like Kino, for example. It looked like it had been boarded up for months to years when we finally teleported in and we were there walking around, opening up the doors, seeing everything covered in dust, especially on Black Ops 3, seeing everything. And that is what's lacking in Black Ops 6. The fact that and even in Cold War, everything has to be cleaned up afterwards. Everything is like, oh, we're trying to keep this a secret from the public. So that is the problem with zombies right now. And the only way for it to be fixed, if they decide to sever the line with this one big storyline and branch out. Because if they're able to do that, if they decide to, it opens up the door for more creativity. So even I don't know why they're bottlenecking themselves. We've seen what they can do when they have full creative control. So I don't know if this is the decision made by Treyarch or by Activision, but something here needs to change. And hopefully soon. Because I am excited for Black Ops 6. I think the gameplay will be good. But I'm hoping with the maps, we get some of the more wacky and outlandish kind of stuff. I don't mean wacky as in like, oh, let's go to an amusement park, but just not, oh, here's a basin. We've had, I think, three, no, this 4 bases slash laboratories and jungles. Shangri-La was just in a jungle. Zetsubo was a jungle at night. Firebase Z was in Vietnamese jungle at during the day, and then now we're getting Terminus, which just is a prison, but underneath it is a jungle laboratory. Like, there needs to be back to more uniqueness, being a bit wacky, being willing to go out there. That's what I've truly missed in zombies. And yes, I know people say like, oh, the gameplay and stuff. Like, I enjoyed Cold War's gameplay, honestly, the initial gameplay loop. The only issue I had was that once you completed the Aether grind of getting all the crystals, it just felt like there was nothing to do. It felt like, well, like I beat everything in the game, so I beat the game. I did all the Easter eggs, so what do we do? And so hopefully with Black Ops 6, once you get all the augments, there's always going to be testing the different versions because you can't just put them all on at once. But there's always the Gobblegum grind. So hopefully there'll be a lot of replayability with that, a bunch of Easter eggs to search for. And even though I have been a bit negative with uh, and even though I have been a bit negative with this video, but it's not negative because I'm not excited. It's negative because I care. It's giving a fan's opinion of I do see the story, and I am excited to see where the story goes, and I think it could go in a good way. I just hope they don't restrict themselves to try and follow this joint storyline goal. So, all that being said, thanks for watching. I'm hoping to do more videos on this channel in the future, have some gameplay of Black Ops 6 and just other games, other horror games and everything. But this, I wanted to be my comeback video. So, only want to stay, hear the opinion of the video, everything for it. I'm not going to be discussing any more of that stuff. I'm going to give a few minor points and then sign off. So, if you did enjoy that, please subscribe. Leave a like if you liked it, leave a dislike if you didn't. Please comment your opinion. What do you think of my take on the true problem with zombies? And again, join the Discord I have linked down below, as always. And all that being said, for all of you leaving now, have a good one. Alrighty, of the people who have stayed and wondering kind of where I've been. I've been on my alternate channel, the VR Pig. I didn't do an announcement for it on here because I want to have a completely fresh audience, and it is doing a lot better than this channel did. It's fully dedicated to VR content, and if you are interested in that kind of stuff, the patch notes talking about feedback, worlds, trying out features, getting most recently being able to play games early, which was surreal. Go check me out over there. I'll leave it added in the comments down below. But besides that and everything else said, like, comment, subscribe, and I hope you guys have a good one. I'll be making a more in-depth video on kind of where I've been and what I've been doing. But bye, y'all. Wah.